Speaker, while we were on recess, two issues were in the front burner, and these issues were begging for questions, begging for answers from Nigerians. These issues were discussed in our broadcasting houses. We had editorial comment about these issues. One was the xenophobic attack of Nigerians and other Africans in South Africa. And the other one is the issue that has been captured today by that motion raised by Professor Julius Ihonvere. Mr. Speaker, the taking of these issues goes to show that this House under your leadership had lived to the promise of being on the side of Nigerians and always sharing in the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians in addressing the issues that bother them daily. Mr. Speaker, $9.6 billion would put a hole in our foreign reserve. $9.6 billion would put a hole in our economy in a time like this that we are borrowing to be able to service our budget deficit. So, Mr. Speaker, this issue raises so many questions that I believe that it's only an investigative panel that will be able to answer or lead to us answering these questions. Number one, Mr. Speaker, did PNIDL play their own part in the performance of this contract? We all know for a foreign company to be able to come into the country to execute any contract or to do any services, they must be able to import capital. Has there been evidence of capital importation by PNIDL into this country? And is there any certificate of capital importation into this country? Those are the questions that is one of the questions that the investigative panel should be able to answer. Mr. Speaker, of what right does a minister of petroleum or anybody acting on his or her behalf has to enter into a concession contract on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria without the resolution of the board of NNPC or the Federal Executive Council approval or the approval of Mr. President? I believe that this is another question that an investigative panel of this House will be able to answer without prejudice to the effort of the federal government in pursuing every legal means to make sure that these matters are being resolved. Mr. Speaker, finally, this issue calls to question the need and the urgency for us to look again into the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill. Because I believe that if we were to have this law in place, we would have revolutionized contract award in the oil and gas industry. Mr. Speaker, this controversy or this court case has had a reputational problem for our country. Now we are painted, without knowing the true side of the story, we are painted as a country who does not keep to her contractual obligation. Mr. Speaker, I believe that this House, through that investigative panel, coming out with the truth would be the image launderer, would be in a position to be able to clear the image of Nigeria by coming out with a true position. Mr. Speaker, with this point and with this position, I submit that it is good for us to have an investigative panel. But I would suggest, sir, that we have a joint committee of this House. Instead of having an ad hoc committee, we can put together the Committee of Petroleum Upstream with Committee on Justice together to be able to look into this matter. And I believe that we will have this, I mean Committee on Justice. Committee on Justice, not judiciary. Committee on Justice, sir, to be able to look into this matter. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I believe that at the end of it all, the committee would bring a clear position, whether this company was a portfolio company, whether there are people who are behind it, and then whether this contract was actually entered into validly by the federal government of Nigeria. Those are my humble submissions, Mr. Speaker.